Hi guys, my name's Emma and let's talk spooky stuff. So today I'm going to talk about it, guys. We're going to talk about The Vanishing 1993 versus the original Vanishing in 1988, both by the same director. The original film, I believe, is filmed in France and the Netherlands, and the remake is an American film. I obviously went over the American film and my first impressions in my 31 Days of Horror. I believe it was day 21. Some of you guys really wanted me to watch the original, and I want to say that these films I like for separate reasons, which I didn't think would happen. I know a lot of people say that the films are really similar, but there's actually some huge differences. This will contain spoilers because I have to talk about all the aspects of it. So if you haven't seen either of the films, I really recommend just go check them out first. But if you don't mind spoiling it for yourself, here goes. The films are about a couple who go on a trip. Their car breaks down, they kind of have an argument, and then they pull up at a gas station. And I should mention this is a female and a male couple. And when they stop at the gas station, the woman goes inside to get some beverages, and then she never returns. And then it kind of goes forward, I think, to 3 years later, and he is still on the hunt. And then he is contacted by the kidnapper. And that's kind of a spoiler, so spoilers all around here. I want to start off by saying, as all American remakes of fantastic foreign horror films, they really watered it down and made it more drilled in, all the aspects, instead of letting the audience kind of figure stuff out for themselves. And I should mention, I don't think Americans are dumb, I just think that they produce it this way for a bigger audience. Let's talk about the structure of the two films first, because although people said that they were really similar, I think they're really different. One thing in the original that you'll notice straight away is that you don't know anything about the kidnapper up until the point she disappears, and then you kind of learn his timeline up to that point, where in the American version, it opens credits to him kind of testing out the chloroform and all that kind of stuff. I really liked the original in that regard because you were kind of kept in the dark a lot about who he was and what actually happened. I felt like knowing the kidnapper in the remake made you feel more connected to the kidnapper's side, where in the original you felt more in the male's head, trying to figure out what happened to his partner. Although I do say it is more watered down in the American version, everything is really drilled in. I felt like there was a few aspects in the original which were a bit slower and they could have just breezed through, and there was a few scenes there that shouldn't have been. They did talk about the car keys for a really long time. I felt like the American version did this really well. When they showed the car keys, it had a really distinctive key ring, so you just kind of kept it in your head. I think that was definitely a good example of where the original really could have picked up the pace just a little bit. Let's talk about the messaging in the film. Wow. In the American version, the killer talks about all of these little tales of things that happened to him when he was a child. And in the original, they actually show them, so the flashbacks are really happening. And this is something that, yes, it was drilled in the American version, but then I felt it a lot stronger, which I liked. What I take out of the film is that the killer is just a person who is capable of actually acting out or carrying out with things that people think about all the time, but they stop themselves. Obviously, then it goes into the whole tale of him wanting to see if he could actually do the ultimate evil because he's done ultimate good. I found it really interesting and into the mind of a killer, which was, I don't know, you can't get that much closer than to know the meaning of when someone actually kills somebody, where in a lot of horror movies you don't get that. So I really appreciated that from the remake, where the original, he does touch on that, but later in the film, and I felt like his motive was all over the place. He also, in the original, had a really fucking weird family, and although his family is in the remake, it's just a little bit different, and the daughter plays a bigger role. It's all a bit iffy, and this is where it comes into the fact that it is based on a book, and things could just come in and out of that book. You've got to wonder why sometimes he made certain decisions, the director. It's very interesting. I'd love to see this be done a third time and see what he carries out. Let's talk about roles in the film. Obviously the acting, I really liked all of them in the original and the remake. I have nothing bad to say, but let's talk about characters because it is bizarre. In the original, the guy, he goes through this whole process of looking for his wife and he seems very distraught for a long time trying to figure out what happened. Where in the remake, there's not so much of that, and then the unthinkable happens. He goes into a diner and he's so burnt out, and then he meets somebody, and then 3 years later he's with the same chick, which was bizarre to me. But one thing I'll give you is I really liked the role that the new girlfriend played in the remake, where she was in the original, but she had just showed up a couple years later. They've been together for about a year, and she kind of bowed out because she just couldn't do it anymore. Where in the remake, I really like how she came back and she really kicked ass, and she ended up being one of the main characters in the film, and I really appreciated her kind of saying that she is not anyone's second choice. So I really liked her character in the remake a lot more, but it was bizarre because it was really hard to swallow the fact that they had been together ever since, like, what was it, the night? So as I said, the film is directed by the same director who got the film from a book, which was adapted into a screenplay by the same writer who did the book and the screenplay. You guys get it. And fun fact, he actually got the story after reading a newspaper article that was about a woman who disappeared after going to a gas station, but she actually turned up the next day, and after he wrote the book, he tracked her down and thanked her. Another fun fact about this film is that the remake had a budget of $20 million, which is 10 times as much as the original. And one last spoiler for you guys. This is the ending spoiler, so if you haven't seen it, turn this off right now. Come on, guys. This is really funny because a lot of you guys said that the original ending was a lot better. I want to let you know that the original actually shot the happy ending that was in the remake, but they didn't end up using it. So there you go. It could have ended the same way in both films. Although I'm not sure how the girlfriend coming back would have worked because they didn't really have the same connection as in the remake. But that's why I really like the remake. I love that ending. I liked both these films. I think that they're really good, and it was really interesting for me to go backwards instead of forwards this time. I like them for different reasons. I think that the original was much more subtle. Although it was slower, the tension at the start was a lot greater, and it was more kind of curious and you're wondering what's going on, and then when the kill is revealed, it's really sick, you know? It's more deranged. In the remake, I really liked the newer girlfriend. I liked her role, although it was a little bit iffy in the start, and I really enjoyed the acting and really getting to know into the killer's mind a little bit differently, although I really appreciated the flashbacks in the original. I'm actually gonna give the films the same score, which is 7. I think that they were both really good films in their own regard. Same story done 2 different ways. And I definitely compare this if you've seen The Girl Next Door and An American Crime. Same fucked up, disturbing story told 2 different ways. Which one do you guys prefer? I know a lot of you guys prefer the original, but I think the remake's pretty cool too, guys. Anyway, that is what I thought. We can put it to rest, guys. I actually like them both the same, but for different reasons. Let me know your scores down below, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Stay spooky. Bye.